Colm Boyle, we're here in McHale Park in Castlebar. The full-time score was Galway 114, Mayo 16 points. It's Galway that come away with a 1-point victory. It really is just a massive win for them.
It is, you'd have to say, Aisling, and it's a deserved victory too. They were the better team. Got off to a good start, obviously got the early goal with Johnny Heaney after about 7 minutes. Mayo recovered well, you'd have to say, finished the first half stronger. Looked to be in a really good position coming in at half time. Slight breeze at their back for the second half, but really found it hard to navigate through that Galway defence in the second half. I think they only scored 2 points for the first half an hour of the game, and really Galway took their chances up the other end. You like Shane Walsh with 3 sensational points outside the 45. Paul Conroy chipping in with a couple of points as well. And look, they were the better team in the second half. There's no doubt about it.
And as you said, that start for Galway was the difference really. They just came out of the blocks all guns blazing, and they got that 1-3 within the first 10 minutes or so, and Mayo were finding it hard to get on the scoreboard.
There were, and there was so much space in that Galway full forward line. Like literally, that's exactly how Pádraig Joyce would have planned it, getting load of bodies at the back, frustrating Mayo, and then hitting them on the counter attack. Often they 13-14 behind the ball, and there was literally one player inside their half, either Walsh, Comer or Robert Finnerty, just left up front on their own. The tactics worked really well for them, you'd have to say. It was probably surprising that they actually didn't kick it even more in that first half, because there was so much space on. At half time, I actually thought that James Horn would be the happier manager, especially considering the fact that the start that Galway got, especially with that goal that we talked about. They'd gone a couple of points up. Mayo responded really well. There was obviously a black card there in the first half of Finney O'Lee, so Galway played for about 10 minutes with 14 men. But Mayo looked like they were finding their groove, and that they were finding holes in that Galway defence and kicked some really good scores. And that's why it's so surprising that they came with that flat performance and kicked some, you'd have to say, erratic wides there in the second half. And when that started happening, things started to get nervy around here, and you could feel it. Next thing, Galway got in front. Them 3 points on Shane Walsh, I think they just lifted the whole place. I think the Galway supporters around us, Aisling, they could feel something was happening here today. This was going to be their day, and the energy just transpired onto the pitch. And you'd have to say, that Mayo finish, it looked like it was going to be a really comfortable finish for Galway. That Mayo finish kind of came from nowhere. Lee Keegan kicks a score from outside the right there, and suddenly Mayo were all over Galway and doing stuff that they weren't able to do for the first 30 minutes of that second half. Unfortunately for Mayo, it just came too late.
And just bringing it back to that first half, they did find their rhythm late in that first half, but they had only kicked scores really from frees. They got their first score from play. It was 20 minutes gone on the clock, and that's very unlike Mayo.
It is, yeah, and like I said, it took their while, and once they did find the rhythm, I think they were a bit shocked by the Galway start, which is surprising. Like, they surely would have had to have talked about it and planned for it. Like, Galway were always going to come out flying at Mayo today. They'd no choice, they had to, and it's surprising that Mayo didn't resist that a small bit better, and they did. They looked a bit nervy, there's no doubt about it. But then for the last 15-20 minutes, and probably after Galway got that black card, Mayo looked really, really good and kicked some great scores. Ryan O'Donoghue looked really sharp up front. I think he got 3 points in the first half, 2 from play and 1 mark. James Carr looked really sharp. He was taking on Jack Lynn every time he got the ball. Kicked one sensational point just before half time. There was a big moment just before half time. I thought Mayo were level. Half time whistle was just about to come, and Jason Doherty gets a goal chance, and Liam Silk makes a great block. If that goal chance goes in, Mayo go in 3 up after playing against a strong wind. It could have been a different game, but look, unfortunately from a Mayo point of view, it didn't. Brilliant for a Galway point of view, but look, even at the start of the second half, James Carr puts Mayo a point up. Like I said again, breeze at your back, and you're thinking Mayo, if they get their groove here, could end up winning this by 4 or 5, but it just never materialised.
Yeah, as you said, they went in level at half time, and you would think that James Horn at that point would have been happy enough. As you said, James Carr kicked the next score, but then Oisin Mullen, this was the big blow. It only came about 3 minutes into the second half that he went off with a hamstring injury.
Yeah, and I think it was literally just after James Carr actually scored that point, and it literally just seemed to suck the life out of the crowd. There was a big gasp of air. Oisin was running forward, and you could see, when you're running like that and the hammer pulls up, it's obviously a nasty one. So unfortunately he could be out for the foreseeable, but yeah, it did. It sucked the life out of the crowd. I still don't think that if should have contributed to the downfall as much as it did. I think it was more than that. I think just our shooting, like Matty Ruan, who's normally so reliable, a couple of scores there where he'd normally score with his eyes closed, just wasn't happening for him today. And there was a number of Mayo players in that same boat. Couldn't get Ryan O'Donoghue in the ball there in the second half as well. I think that was a big thing. Them pockets of space he was finding in the first half, I think Galway were blocking them up a lot better in the second half, and we could not get him. It was literally just the end of the game. We saw him kicking a score out on the right. I think that was his 4th from play. We hadn't seen him up into that, because literally we just couldn't find them, the spaces weren't there, and I suppose the same goes for a lot of the Mayo forwards. But there was kind of a couple of half goal chances, a couple of, from a Mayo point of view, if you're thinking what if, especially they turned Johnny Daly over from a kick out. Ryan O'Donoghue picks up the ball and he just needs to slip it away from Ryan to Aidan Orme, who's on his right hand side, who's one-on-one with Conor Gleeson, but he can't get the pass away. He's fouled and Mayo get the free. Small little things like that. But look at it from that's nitpicking from a Mayo point of view. Galway, like I said, I think they only 7 wides compared to Mayo's 15. So you have to say they took their chances and they deservedly win the game.
And I asked Pork Joyce there about the game plan coming into today's game, and what was it? I said that it looked like get all the bodies back, frustrate Mayo, get in their heads. And he said, well, if it looked like that, that's what it was. And I said, well, you did it well. And that's exactly what they wanted to go out and do today, because they did frustrate them.
They did frustrate them, and it's funny because that's probably a tactic that Pork Joyce would have been critical of Kevin Walsh in the past for playing over defensive football. But look, I don't think anyone's in doubt today that was the way Galway were going to play. So Mayo would have planned for that. They would have been prepared for it. There would have been no surprise with them that they were going to bring that to them today. The only surprise might be how Mayo didn't deal with it there in the second half and just didn't get the scores, keep that scoreboard ticking over. They were running into traffic a lot, they were getting turned over, and every time you could feel that in the crowd, the energy was building every time they turned Mayo over, and especially if it finished with a Galway point up there. So I don't think the tactics from Pork Joyce today was over surprising. I don't think it was ever a case that he was trying to go head to head with Mayo like he did last year in Croke Park. He was obviously going to change it up and try something different, and he did, and you'd have to say it definitely worked for him.
And Paul Conroy from midfield for Galway, we have to mention him. He's been unbelievable for them to come back from the injuries that he's had, the journey that he's had, to be out there. I think he's 33 now and he's kicking points for fun. He kicked 6 points against Roscommon. He got 2 or 3 out there today. He's been exceptional.
Yeah, and look, you have to say he had a massive battle with Aidan O'Shea there in the first half. I thought Aidan actually got the better of it, and even for the first 10 or 15 minutes. But there's something about Paul Conroy. He just comes at the end and moves. He nearly goes in. I think he actually had 5 or 6 shots today. I think he scored 3, which is a huge return for a midfielder. Just popping up in vital moments. I think he got them too just when Mayo were kind of coming back into the game, and it just kept Mayo at arm's length at each stage. But again, he was just ghosting into pockets, nearly coming in unpicked up. And you have to say his accuracy is very impressive. So look, he was a huge player. When Mayo were coming into this game, they would have talked about Comer, Walsh and Conroy as the 3 main players. Unfortunately, the 3 players for Galway, had very good games, and Paul Conroy probably had the best of them.
Yeah, they really stepped up, and Shane Walsh, we'll have to mention him. I think the changing of the game, and really, if he didn't get those scores, it could have been different. He got those 45s off the ground. 3 in a row is just amazing.
Yeah, it is. And look at we're talking here like Galway didn't do everything right. They weren't exceptional by any means, but they just took their chances. And like them 3 points from Shane Walsh, literally from the 45, a couple of them just out the 45, he nearly hit them all the same way. Just chipped them up into the air. The third one hits in off the post, and the lift again that gave the crowd. And I'm sure the lift that would have given his players on the team, because Mayo were on top at that stage, but they couldn't put the scores on the scoreboard, and then Galway come down the end and get scores like that. It just literally takes the energy out of Mayo, gives so much energy to the Galway players. Super scores, and you have to say probably had a generally quite enough game, I'd say, from play, but them scores would just lifted the team at crucial scores. Damien Comer fought very hard as well, won a lot of dirty ball, looked very dangerous anytime he did get on the ball, especially in the first half. So you'd have to say the 3 boys that Mayo would have gone out to kind of take down at the start of the game, it just didn't happen.
And for Mayo then, what is next? This is a really tough one to take. I spoke to James Horan there and he looks hurt. Being in that dressing room, seeing the lads, how upset they would be after losing to Galway here in McHale Park.
Yeah, he'll be hurt. The Mayo players will be hurting too, there's no doubt about that. What's next is the qualifiers, to put it very simply. From what I believe, it's 5 weeks, so it is a long time, which might be a good thing. Couple of boys obviously picked up injuries. Oisin Mullins doesn't look great there today. Don't know when we're going to see him again, but might give the chance of like Paddy Durkin to get back. Obviously that game for Killeen should put him on, but look at I suppose he can't doctor it up. Mayo are not in a great place at the minute. They're out of the Connaughton Championship quarter-final stage after getting beaten by their biggest rivals, Galway, at home. So look, they're not in a great place. It's going to take a bit of recovering, but I've no doubt James will bring them together towards the end of the week and try and get things back up and running for the qualifiers. The thing about the qualifiers this year is you have 2 games to get to a quarter final, but they're going to be 2 tough games. There's absolutely no guarantees.
Yeah, they definitely did look a bit out of sync than the normal Mayo we'd be used to seeing. You know, passes were going astray, they were getting bottled up quite a lot. And as we were speaking to James, he said that, you know, there's been a lot of injuries. We haven't really been able to have that intensity of training, and that's a tough thing to do, to come in against a Galway team that looked like they were raring to go.
Yeah, they were raring to go, and I think look at it. It might mean much to the supporters, but I think it's important that Mayo finished the game well there. You know, they were 6 points down on the 33rd minute. That could easily gone to 7, 8, 9 points, and the game just looks like a hammer. But they really fought back. They showed, I suppose, that Mayo spirit that we're kind of used to over the last couple of years, and they even had a shot there at the end, Aidan Orme, to level the game. You know, a lot of people say, you know, was it the right shot to take on? You know, it was 3 minutes into injury time, could have maybe recycled it. It was a tough shot under pressure, running away from goal. It was probably going to be the only shot that Mayo took, but look, you have to give him credit. He took on the shot, just went to the left of the post, and unfortunately not to be for Mayo. But look, we'll go back to it, Ashley, and I think I don't think Galway are exceptional by any means. I think they have a good bit of work to do as well going forward. But I think today they wanted that bit Mayo for Mayo, and the game plan they had just set the stall out from the start, and it got them over the line.
And for the players, for James, for you, for supporters, how much does it hurt to lose to Galway?
Yeah, it does. You know, you can't doctor it up. It does. But look, no one will be hurting more than the players. I can guarantee you that. And Mayo supporters will go home here, you know, frustrated, and you know they'll have their own view on things, but believe me, no one is hurting more than the players right now. I flip the other side of that, there's no one more ecstatic than the Galway dressing room right now, I'm sure, you know. But for Pádraig Joyce and for Cian O'Neill, I'm sure they'll be talking about, you know, it's not good enough just to beat Mayo, you need to go on now and do bigger and better things, and I'm sure that's going to be their aim for the rest of the championship.
And for you being back here, Colm, in McHale Park, how was that, sitting up in the press box? A little bit different?
Yeah, very different. Yeah, extremely different. The league was fine, certainly, but when you come here to championship, it's when you walked out in here and you seen that pitch, the shape it was in, the crowd that was here today, unbelievable, great atmosphere. Fortunately didn't finish on the right side of the result, but enjoyed it all the same.
And you're still playing a bit of football yourself?
Yeah, still going with our club, so things just get back up and running at Mayo at the minute, kind of playing divisional cups and pre-season tournaments, so our league is not starting to June, so something to look forward to for the summer.
And there is hope for this Mayo team, of course there is. They'll go into the qualifiers now, you know. I don't think we've seen the best of them yet.
There is hope, absolutely. Look, I think this is a wide open championship, and look, people will absolutely be writing Mayo off tonight. There's absolutely no doubt about it, and we'll be completely written off and not a chance given for the rest of the championship. Mayo literally have to put it together, try and regroup as best they can, and literally have to take it one game at a time. Like I said, the qualifiers this year, it's 2 games to get back to a quarter final. If you do get back there, you literally don't know who you could be playing. It could be a Kerry, a Dublin, a Tyrone, or look at that could be your fate. It could be a Galway or Roscommon. You just don't know. That's Mayo's fate from now, but they have to try and get there. That's the thing. Okay, if they do get there, you know what I mean. They're back in it and back with a chance, because I do think, like I said earlier on, that it is an open championship. And if you did get maybe a Kerry in a quarter final, you know, maybe that's the time to get them. You don't know. But look, that's miles away from Mayo at the minute. That's the least of their worries. It's getting things together, getting a few boys back from injuries, and try and get 4 really good weeks of training in, which is kind of unusual in a short championship, that they're going to get this block. But hey, look, we might be talking in a couple of months' time that 4 weeks was the making of them. We'll see.